Welcome to another episode of Primo Talks. When it comes to life, you got to have those people around you who have those gifts and talents like you have in order for you to implement those things, so you know that the things that you're doing is moving you towards those goals, those dreams, those realities that you saw in your life. This is not the time for you to take a step back. It's a time for you to be teleported. This is a place where you can actually get the information that you need that you can implement today. Let's talk. Welcome back to another edition of Primo Talks. Again, we're jumping to part 2 of rule of $38.47. If you never like, subscribe, please don't forget to hit the bell icon. That way you can get the latest content that we drop, that we put up on YouTube. You can always be familiar. You can always continue to learn. Second, if you haven't seen our latest merchandise called Anti-Fragile, you definitely want to pick up one of those shirts I'm wearing today. As you know, clarity over chaos. We're in a situation now where very easily your emotions can throw you out of whack, so you definitely want to have your clarity on and beat down that chaos that's in your life. This part 2 is going to specifically talk about the things you need to do to utilize leverage. So let's jump right into it. If you've never seen this show before, I kind of jump right into it. That way you're not delayed. If you got something you need to go do, you can do it. And I'm just excited that you're here with me today so I can continue to expound and expand the way that you actually function when it comes to your thinking. Again, how to permanently develop the habit of saving $1,000 consistently every year without leverage. The power of $38.47 equals $1,000. We're looking at your payment cycle. Again, this payment cycle that we're using in order to define the rule of $38.47 is totally based on 26 times a year. You may have to adjust your number if you get paid weekly. You may have to adjust the number if you get paid once a month, okay? You're going to have to adjust that. If you get paid on the 1st and 15th, you need to adjust it as well, because 26 times a year means certain months you'll be paid 3 times in a month versus just 4 times if you get paid every week. And on the opposite side of it, if you get paid twice a month. So that's important for you to know. Just want to make sure that's a little default clause so that you know about that. And now, part 2 of Rule 3847. Let's do a definition of leverage. Leverage is use of something to maximize your advantage. Most of us, when it comes to leverage, we use leverage against ourselves. Let me give an example. If you go out there and you bought your first car, or your second car, or maybe on your third vehicle, you use leverage against yourself. You say, no, I use it for myself. No, you use it against yourself. How do we know? If you had the cash, you paid the cash for the vehicle. If you don't, you start looking at payment terms. Well, on those payment terms, you're either going to pick 24 months, 36 months, 48 months, 60 months, 72 months, 84 months, 96 months, 120 months, depending upon if you're going after exotics or not. You're going to find out they start going in the 96 to 120s. You can be up to 10 years on a car payment. In case you don't know that, several credit unions do that on exotic cars. If that is the case, I want you to see the leverage. You use leverage, but you use it against yourself in order to pay the lender more money. Because the longer the terms go, the more they get paid. That's important. Now, you say, well, I use leverage because I went from started doing 5 years, I did 72 or 84 months or 96 months or 120. But that's against you. That's not for you. I'm just telling you that's against you. You're going to end up paying more over the long term, period. And the interest rate goes up a little bit as you continue to stretch out those terms. Shorter the term, maybe 0%. Longer the terms, you're going to pay a little bit more. How come that's important? Because we talked about on part 1. If you haven't watched part 1, make sure you go back and look at Rule 3847, part 1. Because we talked about it. Now, I want to go back in case you're just tuning into us and you didn't hear it. Let me just give you a little bit of an analogy to get your thought process up to speed. Don't forget to stop the video now. Jump back on to see part 1 so that you can be brought up to part 2. But we're talking about $1,000. And we gave an analogy of $1,000 here as an example of being green army men. Back in the day, in the 80s and the 90s, little boys and little girls, because I had a sister who actually had them as well, would get the little army men. You had a guy with a grenade, you had a guy in the prog position, you had a guy on a microphone with a book bag on. You had these here to allow us to realize this. I want you to see $1,000 as 1,000 employees who work for you. Their job is to grow your wealth. Their job not is to consume and then leave. They leave your branch. Think of it. Every month when you get paid, you have some what they call determining factors and then contributing factors. Determining factors means you get to decide how your money is going to be consumed by you. After your contributing factors means it's things outside of you. If you got a mortgage payment or you got a rent payment, that's contributing. You got to pay that. There's nothing you can do. Determining is what you have, what's left from your paycheck. If you want to be honest with you, apologize about that. That way you know I'm a human. Now, second, on your determining factors, you can clearly determine whether or not how you want to spend the money. We're telling you to stay focused permanently on $38.47 every pay cycle. You end up getting to 1,000. How come? The next goal. Now, this is a way to save for 1,000 without leverage. Part 2 is talking about with leverage. So let's look at this. You've now saved $1,000. That's a fact. These are factors. From that, here's the next section. You're going to go to learn. Go to learn doesn't mean you're going to spend the $1,000 here learning. You're not going to do that. You're not going to spend $1,000 learning. You're not going to take the money you just permanently saved, because this is 1,000 employees that you have. These employees are only your employees for one reason: to make you wealthy. You have a choice. Are you going to start a business? You're not going to take from the 1,000. You're going to look at how you can learn something for free. Whether you jump on Google, you talk to a friend, and you begin to learn vocabulary terms. Don't get so excited that you jump into it and you take 1,000 and you turn it into $900. Don't do that. Don't turn the 1,000 into 900. Don't turn it into 800. Buying a course because you've seen something on YouTube. Don't do it. You have to take it. You have to now take that money, not this money, but money from your regular paycheck that you have. You want to take that money and say, okay, this is my money for me to be able to have 1,000 soldiers, 1,000 employees that work for me. Their responsibility is when I go to work, they're going to go to work too. They're going to generate money. I'm going to generate money. My money is fixed. This money is not. This $1,000 is not fixed. Just to be very clear, it is not fixed. So when you get to this section here, whether you choose to start a business, make sure it's not coming from this $1,000. If you decide that you want to learn about real estate, or you want to do stocks or cryptocurrency, it is not going to come out of this $1,000, because this is where you learn at. You do not deploy your resources here. Let me explain something to you. There's a lot of people who went to college, like myself, and they completed, and they're working outside their field, outside their field, as like I do from college. That's important for you to understand, because there's several people who went to college, paid the bill, still paying the bill, and not working in their field. So you don't want to be spending this $1,000 here. You can say, well, I'm investing in my learning. Make sure that comes from other parts of your paycheck. This here is strictly to generate wealth, and at the same time, that's the goal, and there's a certain amount of money. Because you automatically know if you did nothing, you would have went from having $1,000, and then the next year you would have $1,000. So you automatically have a built-in system, and you'll have $2,000 at the end of 24 months, even if you did nothing. But once you start attacking these employees, I want you to look at it this way. The United States military last year started when individuals wouldn't take the COVID shot. If you didn't want to take the COVID shot, they would kick you out of the military. So I want you to take it this way. Don't treat your money that way. Don't make them have the consumption side. What is the consumption? Well, you immediately take the 1,000 you save, deploy it in a way. Because here's the thing. As you begin to discover how you actually learn, excitement is part of learning. You cannot afford to deploy any resources in areas where you get excited, where you haven't learned application. What do I mean? Application is actually using knowledge, which is a collection of truths, understanding, which is taking a collection of truths. Understanding is assimilating those truths, not knowing just what to do, when to do it, how come to do it, and why to do it. And then applying truths. That's what wisdom is. And that's what another word for wisdom today is skill. If you can drive a stick, you got a skill. You apply truths, and you're using multiple things as you driving a stick. The clutch, the gas, the brake. It's not just automatic where you still got to have a collection of truth for automatic, but there's a lot more you got to do when it comes to a clutch. Now, if you get into that and you may say, that was fun, I was excited, I read a couple books. I know so many people tell me, man, I read so many books. I said, great, let's do it. They're like, I don't know how to do it. They don't have the skill. They have a collection of truths, and the problem with truths, when it comes to you now taking $1,000, you must get past this. You must know that this is a normal process that you cannot afford to deploy your resources, because if you misappropriate this money, you no longer have 1,000. The whole year of that rule of 3847 is literally growing your army of employees. And we're using the word employees as an adjective or if I'm not using it as a synonym for cash, basically. So you want to go from 1,000 to 2, and you want this to keep growing. You don't want capitulation. Capitulation is when the value of your money drops. The value just drops. So you're going to go from 1,000 to 500 because you decided that you wanted to learn. Don't learn with this money. This money has only one purpose. That is to grow, so it gives up your time. One thing we talk about, time. Time is a factor in this regards. People work this much time for this little bit of money. You're now saying, I'm going to work this much time, and instead of me consuming, that keeps me making this little bit of money, because all this time, most people's paychecks, their gross income is higher, their net income is higher, but there have been previous decisions that were made in the past, and an obligation from the past that hasn't been paid for, like the United States government keep printing money, there's no way to pay that. You're making those same choices in your life, and as you make those choices, you're seeing that the hours that you work, you don't really get to benefit by, because you already experienced those choices, so this is your paycheck. And because the paycheck is so low to the time you gave up, you're saying, I'm going to use my cash. The cash I have, a determining factor, what I have left after I pay my contributing factors or my debts. I now have a determining factor what I'm going to do. So my consumer spending and my discretionary spending, instead of me just going out here and consuming, me going out and buying a water bottle, buying a Sharpie to write on the board, buying the dry eraser board from Quarters, any of those things. Yes, you doing that may make you feel good, but remember the goal here. The goal is to grow your wealth by allowing your money to work, so that way when you work this much time, you make this much money, or if you work this much time, you make this much money. The goal is to increase the income that you make. Increase it without spending more time. How do you do it? You begin to get income from your money. Income from your money. Not learning with your money. Now, I understand people are going to tell you, you got to pay to learn. That's 100% truth. You're going to pay to learn. So that means you're going to spend time working, and you're going to spend time learning. But as you spend time working and you spend time learning, you're not going to do it with this $1,000. How come? Because this has to have a goal. If you deploy this $1,000 and it takes you 12 months, then whatever you do, whether you decide because of starting a business with other money, not this money, real estate, stocks, or cryptocurrency, is going to come over here. And if it took you 12 months to make 1,000, you're going to say, well, how can I shorten that time? Can I do it in 6 months? And if I do, what truths do I use? See, not speculation. I think one of the things that people do is they actually think that when it comes to these three, it's like a casino. Remember The Price is Right? They pulled down the level when they went up there. Let's not speculate, because you don't know what's going to come up on that. However, when you begin to learn some truths here, you can then shorten this time, and that's when you deploy this $1,000. You do not deploy this $1,000 until you can actually see what those truths are. You might have had 1,000 you saved, and you might have actually end up saving 1,500. If there's any money you want to use, is this 5, but the 1,000 is a no-go, because this 1,000 has to go work for you, and it must generate you more money. If it doesn't generate you more money, don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. See, you've done this for years. You continue to operate, function in a way that you go to work, you get paid, you consume, you go to work, you get paid, you consume, you go to work, you get paid, you consume. That's called a cycle. That cycle started with wants. I want a car. I want these clothes. I want these shoes. One of the things I find to be interesting, and this is one of the reasons I really don't go on Instagram that much, because when you go on Instagram, everybody want to show me how many shoes they have. I mean, people that I know personally want to take pictures in their closet of all these shoes they have. All I see is money that doesn't work for them. I see shoes that allow me and you to see they got nice shoes. I see shoes that allow someone else to be like, oh, they got the new Air Force Ones, they got the retro. Yes, we see all of that. However, when it comes to the rule of 38-47, it's about generating wealth. It's not about consumption. Now, don't get me wrong. You got the choice to not use rule 38-47. You got the choice to use what you've been using. But I can assure you one thing. When you apply the rule 38-47 the correct way, it starts off at 1,000. But once you go to using leverage, which is use something to maximize the advantage, and learning strengthens the advantage. And it can also make you lose. That's the reason that arrow goes down. You know, you got a goal. It can be good or you can be a loser. That's why I put the goal this way. You can be good or you can be a loser. Period. And you can lose your $1,000. Learning is one of the key things that we got to do every day. I call learning dying to self. That means the person I was yesterday, I'm killing. Once I lay my head down on the pillow, here is my philosophy. Whatever I learned that I did not use, I apologize. I kill that behavior of not using it. Because I need to collect a collection of truths in order for me to have a better quality of life so I can make better decisions. Every time you wake up, there are businesses looking to add you to their balance sheet. And they have done this collectively. They're very, very good at making you the investment. Now it's time for you to become very, very good at making others the investment. So either leverage, two ways you can look at leverage. You can look at leverage where you use it for your advantage, but it makes you money. Not makes you pay longer on things. It actually makes you money so you can spend less time making lots of money. Or either you can use leverage that way or you can be somebody else's leverage. Most human beings that I come across, especially who watch YouTube, are individuals who are used to being the leverage. They're used to saying that I make $40 or $50 or $60,000 a year. At the end of the year, the only evidence that I have is that I had a good, here's my photos of everything I did to have fun. Here's all the places I've been. Here's all the shoes I have. And here's all the cool clothes. You name it. Sunglasses, you name it. But I don't have no money. I go back to work, spend another year. And all of my wealth is in inventory. Inventory, not cash. That's what makes it different for most people who are successful. They have the cash. And if they used anything, they never used their principal. They use their interest to make inventory. There's an old saying. If you don't have cash, then you are at the extent of someone else's trash. Again, if you don't have cash, you are the extent of someone else's trash. Because at the end of the day, most of the people who don't have money have a bunch of trash though. How come? They're always getting rid of something that they don't want no more. That's their trash. And then you hear that statement, one person's trash is another person's treasure. That's true. But where did that trash come from? All the years you took your paycheck and turned it into things that were temporary euphoria that gave you an emotional pull, but at the end, you don't want that anymore. So now it's trash. You don't want to keep giving up all this time for this little bit of money and then say, I don't want that. Let me give this away. Let me give that away. It gave you a personality, but it never made you more mature. It just made you more insecure. Don't go around here trying to impress people, because I'm going to tell you now, it's just going to make you more insecure. Go around quietly, minding your business, with your goals, being good, generating more money, and the next thing you know, you'll be separated from 99% of the people you know, because they got to go spend this much time for this much money. Again, how to permanently develop a habit of saving $1,000 consistently, even every year, without leverage. That's part 1 of the video. Go back and watch part 1. Part 2 is rule of 3847, leverage. These are certain forms of leverage. This is something I didn't write. I could have put on the board, guys. There's people who do go to the thrift store, buy certain things and sell it on eBay. There's people who crochet, sell it on eBay. That crocheting, the skill of crocheting is leverage, okay? But they do have to give up time, and it adds. So if you're already working every 2 weeks, 80 hours, and you spend another 20 hours, you're working now 100 hours a week. And most people don't realize that. I don't care because if you're learning to crochet, that's 100 hours a week you work. But there's 20 hours out of the week you don't get paid. So you have to begin to develop the behavior where all the hours that are 24 hours you're not working. Allow your money to work too. Allow your money to work too for you. Again, thank you for checking out our channel. There's a lot more information when you become a member, you join. We go over a lot more of this. This is the basic information I wanted to put out today. If you get a chance, if you continue to like our content, just go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, join the Insider Club, the Stewards Club. The Stewards Club is where you get a little bit more information. We go over this. We talk about, is this the best way? It's financial conversations. It's not financial advice. The financial advice is going to come from somebody who is telling you, who's managing your money. You're managing your own money. That's what you need to realize. So it's just financial conversations. And once you join that button, you find out a little bit more. But again, there's no managing nobody else's money. This is all about you learning how to handle your money and make the best choice for your lineage. Use it in a way that your lineage is blessed, and you never give up your cash to anyone else. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining and watching Primo Talks.